City of Stevens Point Common Council meeting, recorded February 20th, 2023.
At 7 o'clock, we will call the regular Common Council meeting of the City of Stevens Point to order. Clerk, would you please call the roll?
Christensen.
Here.
Shore.
Here.
Keemer.
Here.
Zarazua.
Here.
Johnson will be arriving late. Plassance.
Here.
Kneebone.
Here.
Shuda.
Here.
Dalton.
Here.
Fischler.
Here.
Morrow.
Here.
And we do have a quorum, so we will continue. If you would please join me in standing to start our salute to the flag. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Thank you all very much for joining us this evening. A couple of quick announcements. Tomorrow is Election Day. There's a very important primary in Wisconsin, including State Supreme Court, so I would encourage everybody, if you haven't already, please get out and vote tomorrow. If you are unfamiliar with where to vote or how to register, you can find that at myvotewi.gov. Also, Ann Hyla is joining us from the Parks Department. That is because Director Kramer is busy burping and changing diapers. Him and Molly had Whitley Lorraine Kramer this weekend, 7 pounds, 11 ounces, and everybody's doing well. Congratulations to Director Kramer. And now we're going to do something a little unprecedented. I was able to attend, as part of Black History Month, the Black Student Union had an ebony ball over this past weekend, and I was able to attend with my wife. And there was a performance there that struck several chords with me. And I immediately said, everyone needs to hear this. So I asked the performer if they would be willing to join us at a council meeting and recite some original work. And we have that here today. I want everyone to pay attention because it's moving. Not just because it's Black History Month, because it is powerful. The percussion of that performance rattled my chest. And I hope it does the same for you. So without further ado, Dasani Hoover, please approach the lectern, and the floor is yours, good sir.
Sorry. Hi. Like was said by our gracious mayor, my name is Dasani Hoover. I'm a second-year student at the University of Stevens Point. And the poem I'm about to recite for you guys is titled, I Am Black. I give a fair warning now. This poem may include languages that include unapologetic blackness. I am black. If it wasn't obvious to you already, that is a joke, you can laugh. I am black and educated, black and scholarly, black and hardworking, but yes, I am black. I'm black and a mover, black and a shaker, black and fearless. I am black, and I look at you now. See you stare back at me, wondering why I say it so much. Why the obvious must be stated. Well, when you live in a world and in a country, when your skin is politicized, when your history is a topic of debate, when it's convenient to wither away into the background, you sometimes have to announce to the world who you are. So yes, I am black. Black and from the north side of Milwaukee, black and unadulterated, black and moving. I am black and humble, clearly, black and a fighter, black and not a statistic. 1 out of 3 black men in this country will be incarcerated at some point in their lifetime. I have 2 brothers. You do the math, because I don't have to, because I am black. Don't you understand? I say it again to you with clear intention. It has become a topic of controversy. It's become politicized, inconvenient for the masses, for you to be proud of who you are, but I say it unmovingly. I am black, black like my southern roots, black like the new Jim Crow, black like the school to prison pipeline, black as the berry, black like three backs and Cadillacs. I am black as black-eyed peas on New Year's. I am black. Black as chattel slavery. I am black. Black as chains that rattle in my ears. I am black. Black and moving, black and fearless, but I'm still black. When I look in the mirror, I see a black man standing back at me, and I smile. Because despite the world I was raised in, despite the news, despite what I was told as a child, despite the statistics, despite the odds, I stand unadulterated. I stand unadulterated. I stand unmoved. I stand unwavered. I stand as Goliath, but not David. I stand having moved mountains and high water because I am black, fearless, determined, willing to say it to myself and all of you. My words ring around the room and reverberate back into my soul because despite anything else, I am black. Black and depressed, black and queer, black and sad, black and happy. When I smile, it's black boy joy. And never forget I was raised by black girl magic. I am black. I am black. I am black. Thank you.
Wow. Great. All right, at this time, persons who wish to address the mayor and council on a specific agenda item other than a public hearing must register their request. Those who wish to address the common council during a public hearing are not required to identify themselves until the public hearing is declared open by me. Anyone who has not signed up for a topic agenda item that wishes to speak that has not yet signed up. Okay, thank you. McKenna, you want to bring those up? Persons who wish to address the mayor and common council for up to 3 minutes on a non-agenda item. And we have Neil Wasinski.
All right. Members of the council, so Neil Wasinski, 396 Old Wasser Road. Members of the council, Mr. Mayor, I come here today not to spread hate, not to spread division, not to spread lies, but I think we all deserve answers to many things in our community. So I just graduated from UWSP last year, and I saw some stuff that, let's just say, and learned some stuff that doesn't seem the most kosher to me. So I'm going to start off here. Melissa, so there's the SGA, the Student Government Association. They help facilitate a lot of the voting on campus. And former SGA president, Colin McCarna, and then there's the speaker of the SGA, current Will Schreider. They are running the campaign for Melissa Johnson. That seems like a conflict of interest to me, if you ask me. And I guess the other thing I've seen here too, and I'm not trying to throw shade, I just think we all deserve answers, is I've seen you worked with the SGAs on several Get Out Students to Vote, etc. And we're getting a lot of people into the voting into the city that are from out of the city, out of the state. And they're voting and they're determining what the future of our city holds. And I just think it's unfair to the people of the city. And even though it may be legal, just because something's legal doesn't mean it's right. I mean, that's what a Holocaust survivor told me once. And I just think we all deserve answers. I'm not here to spread hate. I'm not here to spread division. I just think we all deserve honesty and integrity in ourselves and the truth from everybody here to make our city a better city. And that's all I got to say.
Thank you. Craig Tesh.
My name is Craig Tesh, 1100 Frontenac here in Stevens Point. A few things that you should know. First of all, you should know there are people damaging signs. I'm running for mayor. The wind did not take down the sign that I have, one of the signs that I have. It was cut. These are $100 signs, and they're strictly out of my pocket. You should know, the majority of the people that I have met, your constituents, and I'm only one person, but what they, in majority, told me, they want 4 lanes and no bike lanes on Business 51. That's why I'm running. I'm also running because you should know, as a Vietnam veteran who started school in the fall of '69, 1 month before student moratorium, I experienced firsthand the bigotry against veterans that were trying to get an education and then a job. I took a vet friend of mine home from school for the last time and experienced the hate, the hurt, I should say, that he felt because he was basically pushed out of school. So I resent the way that you, Mr. Wizza, and Ms. Carlson, Ms. Johnson, I should say, have treated Mr. Carlson. There is no place in our government, our city government, for that type of bigotry. And talk about hypocrisy, both of you are middle-aged white people. So you should know, no matter what the results are tomorrow, I will be running. As known tomorrow, I will be also running on April 4th. Thank you.
Thank you. All right. That is the last of our non-agenda item speakers. Now it is my pleasure to introduce to you our County Board Supervisor for the City Hall District. I've asked Mr. Medine to come here and give us kind of a Justice Center update. So Dave Medine, who's the County Board Supervisor, again, for the district that City Hall currently is in. Mr. Medine?
Thank you, Honorable Mayor and Common Council and other attendees. I started my family just 2 houses south of the County City Building in 1976 and have represented the group of neighborhoods surrounding the County City Building since 1986. I intended to speak to you about the vast majority of what the vast majority of people in the surrounding neighborhoods have been telling me in the 37 years I represented them, particularly what their current concerns and issues are. But first, I'll run down the schedule for the county decision-making process on the government facilities plan, which is what the agenda item had stated. I've been on the county board for that 37 years, and I've never seen it quite the way it is this evening. The county executive, the county board chairman, the Space and Properties Committee chair, the county staff, including the sheriff, worked with our architect, BWBR, our owner's representative, Tegra, and our construction manager at risk, Findorf, to develop a plan for moving the county facilities to an outlying site or as an alternative to keep the facilities downtown. After 10 months of working together, they submitted their proposal for the Greenfield site and the downtown site directly to the county board on January 31st, just 2 weeks ago, roughly. Okay. It was prepared with no public input, and at the county board and committee level, there was no substantive discussion, only hiring consultants and approving their schedules. You have in front of you a copy of the plan they prepared for the downtown site. Might be the second page of your stapled area there, stapled flyers. It does work according to the statements made by all the above named participants. However, they did express concerns that there are challenges to both the downtown site and the Greenfield site. I wanted to make sure that you had a copy of the page in the document that showed the downtown site, and it does work. So I'm thankful that those representatives made sure that there was a site that worked, okay? The Space and Properties Committee, of which I am a member, met on February 6th, which was the first public comment on the project. And after 10 months of, well, I'll leave it at that. The county board will meet tomorrow, February 21st at 5 o'clock, but the agenda item is limited to a presentation by the owner's representative, Tegra, with questions and answers probably only permitted by county board supervisors. Now, there may be the public that will be there. They may be able to have a sheet that is passed around, but they may have to limit their comments to a question to Tegra, if they're permitted to speak at all. All right, that's tomorrow. The Space and Properties Committee will meet again on March 6th, and I'm a member of that, but I have no idea what the chairman will have as an agenda item for that meeting. And then the county board will meet again on Tuesday, March 21st, and again, I have no idea what the agenda item will be. I've been surprised at the agenda items that we have had, so I'm not going to draw any statements about what it may or may not include. All right, that's the schedule. And now I did request to present strongly the opinions and concerns of the people in the district that I have represented for 37 years. I've heard from hundreds of constituents and a lot of people in the rest of the county. You have in front of you my memo that summarizes my concerns. It encapsulates the vast majority of comments and concerns I've received over the last 37 years. I do want to confine my remarks to just representing the comments of the people in my community. So I don't want to talk about other things, the two different alternatives may affect the downtown or employees or attorneys or anything else. I want to limit my remarks to what I have heard in the districts that Polly represents for a shorter period of time than I have on the county board, and Nakira represents for a shorter period of time than I have been on the county board. Okay, now to have the memo in front of you, 6 county board supervisors represent neighborhoods within a 10-minute walk of our jail and courts. 6 of the 25. The halfway house, the jail, and the courts are all what I would label the correction center. Our constituents and their neighbors are among the most welcoming and opening in the county, and as a result, this area has unparalleled ethnic and economic diversity, unparalleled in the county. I know many of the people in this entire area as I have served the county board through multiple redistricting cycles. I want to protect their interest in having a viable and accessible county law enforcement presence in the downtown area of Stevens Point, ensuring safety in that part of the county with the highest concentration of offenders. Fact, all the facilities for offenders are located downtown and need the safety net of the sheriff's department nearby. It's a fact. And now I'll explain how I came to that fact. Many offenders in our county are working to improve their situation. Aside from regular appearances in person for court hearings, they participate in mandated programs, all of which are located in the downtown Stevens Point area. The area contains the full continuum of facilities that serve offenders, their family, and victims. So there's the day report center in the jail, the halfway house just adjacent to the jail, the family crisis center just over the river, the state-operated sex offender house that is located in the house that's just immediately adjacent to Soik Plumbing, was torn down on Water Street. The Downtown Youth Enrichment Center on Ellis and Clark. 2 short-term high-risk two short-term drug and alcohol recovery residents, Riverside for men on Smith Street and River Point for women on Rogers, plus numerous other refuges serving high-risk populations. The Salvation Army, Hope Center, the One Big Tent, the St. Franciscans, and Justice Works, just to name a few, all within a 10-minute walk of our current facilities. Through these facilities walk offenders ranging from low risk to high risk. From low risk to high risk, with ultimate security provided by the safety net of the nearby Sheriff's Department and jail. These facilities and programs address a critical need in our county, and they all exist where they do because of the offender population concentration and the location of the Sheriff's Department, the county courthouse, and the jail nearby. The people who work at, who participate in these programs, as well as the surrounding neighbors, are made safer through the close proximity of the Sheriff's Department and their law enforcement staff. Fact, the highest concentration of correction center users live in the Central City area, including hundreds of regulated offenders who make hundreds of appearances. I've done my homework, and I'm going to prove to you in the next few sentences how that is the highest concentration of the users of those facilities. In Portage County, there are about 70 registered sex offenders, and 50 offenders with day report sentences, and 400 people on probation and parole in all of Portage County, okay? Sex offenders must report their location, and I provided you with a map showing the concentration of sex offenders in Portage County. The first page shows all of Portage County, and the second page shows the map of Portage County registered sex offender residents, which shows a clear concentration near the downtown. Both of these are snapshots of one typical day, because it does obviously have some variation through population changes. That area is geographically only 5% of the county's area, but shoulders 25% of the county's sex offenders. Applying the same 25% fraction to those on day report and probation and parole, it becomes clear there are hundreds of people who will be impacted if the County Corrections Center is moved out of the downtown area. Note that while the probation and parole office is not downtown, the people who are on probation and parole are sometimes required to make more court appearances than office appointments. It's really important for all of us to know that this is the area where we have the highest concentration of users of the correction system. And I've just, if you want to go over that paragraph again, that's the first time I think that anyone is really hearing that. That's very important, okay? The concentration of housing and programs for offenders is not the only reason that there are a disproportionate number of our county's offenders living near the downtown. With limited economic means, many offenders do not own reliable motor vehicles. Others have lost their driving privilege by virtue of their convictions. They may not be able to make the required appearances to an outlying location. We all benefit if our county's correction center is accessible by foot or bicycle. Fact, the neighborhoods around the current correction center contain the whole continuum of sanctioned facilities. And I just listed those in that first paragraph. This is the only area in the entire county likely to accept the whole continuum in the future. Why is that important? If any part of that continuum is fractured or is isolated, for example, if the halfway house is isolated from the law enforcement center, dangerous conditions will occur. Fact, the downtown draw of offenders provides comfort to the rest of the county. I want to repeat that. The downtown draw of offenders, of users of those buildings, provides comfort to the rest of the county. We've seen recently how difficult it can be to establish new locations for sex offenders. I don't expect any other part of the county to advocate that the halfway house, emergency shelters, and recovery housing be moved to their neighborhoods or out near a safe haven of an outlying correction center. The constituents in this area depend on the county's law enforcement capability to ensure safety and peace of mind. The downtown neighborhoods will continue to accept that interactive offender and neighbor framework. There is an interaction in that area that is tremendous when Polly and McCure, when you walk our neighborhood, you will see that it's the friendliest neighborhood, and people may look different, or you may understand that they have had some behavioral difficulties. Everybody is welcome. Everybody says hi to everybody. Everybody walks. The downtown neighborhoods will continue to accept that interactive offender and neighbor framework as long as the Sheriff's Department is present nearby. That framework supplies immeasurable comfort to the rest of the county. And lastly, the Central City residents are furious at the thought of living without the presence of the Sheriff's Department and courts. The constituents near downtown are the largest segment of the population that needs and also makes direct use of the correction center. Any proposed change in location would be met with broad opposition, and if a move happened, it would make it much more challenging for those required to participate in court hearings and other county programs to make their appearances and appointments. All of the people who live and work around the downtown area, the heart of our county, know that the visible presence of the Sheriff's Department protects the neighborhood, provides safety for the marginalized, and keeps the peace. One last point, and maybe the most important point of all. We all want to reintegrate reformed offenders back into society. And this neighborhood does it second to none. Let's keep it that way.
Thank you, Mr. Medine. And that meeting is tomorrow?
Tomorrow.
5 o'clock?
5 o'clock.
At the courthouse up in the county board chambers,
Yeah, I
correct?
encourage people to attend. They may be able to sign in. The county board chairman may not allow that. I don't know. I'm just going to leave it at that.
Thank you. Now, I do feel compelled to point out that we do have our county executive, John Pavelski, in the audience with us today. Alder Morrow?
I just wanted to confirm, because the last meeting was in the court annex. So it's going to be in the main county board, which is courtroom 1.
Right.
Okay.
Yep, at the county city building. The last meeting was a different one. This is the regular monthly county board meeting, 5 o'clock tomorrow. And certainly you're welcome to contact your county board supervisors if you have any questions. They should be able to help that with you or go through the county executive's office. Thank you, Mr. Medine, for that presentation. Item number 6 is the consent agenda, and I would like to pull the public policy and general government item number 3, not because there is a conflict, but the perception that may exist because it's one of our alderperson's employers that it's related to. It's just an event, but I'd like to pull that item for separate consideration, so I need a motion unless someone else wants to pull anything else off that consent agenda. Moved by Fischler. Seconded by Shuda. Discussion. Hearing none, clerk, please call the roll.
Christensen,
Christensen.
Aye.
Shore,
Aye.
Keemer,
Aye.
Sarazua,
Aye.
Johnson,
Even though I walked in late, I will vote aye.
Plassance,
Aye.
Nebone,
Aye.
Shuda,
Aye.
Dalton,
Aye.
Fischler,
Aye.
Morrow.
Aye.
And that is approved. Now, for consideration separately of public policy, general government, items number 3, some street closings for events. I need a motion for that one.
I'll move approval.
Moved by Dalton,
I'll second.
seconded by Keemer. Discussion there. Hearing none, clerk, would you please call the roll?
Morrow.
Aye.
Fischler.
Aye.
Dalton.
Aye.
Shuda.
Aye.
Ebon.
Aye.
Plassance.
Aye.
Johnson.
Aye.
Zarazua.
I will abstain.
Keemer.
Aye.
Shore.
Aye.
Christensen.
Aye.
All right, and that is approved. Alder Shore, you froze up again just briefly. All right, we got you. That's so awkward. Item number 8 is on page 57, and that is an ordinance. I'm sorry, I'm going to go with 7. I can say I purposefully did that because that's Director Kanaski's presentation, but I can't say that. Item number 7, the Common Council of the City of Stevens Point will conduct a public hearing regarding its Community Development Block Grant Special Project for the acquisition of real property at 1300 Maria Drive in Stevens Point, zip code 54481, for the purpose of renovation and redevelopment of a former convent to affordable senior and family housing units. The agenda for the public hearing is as follows. 1, an update on the status of the Community Development Block Grant Project, including an overview of the project activities completed to date and activities remaining to be completed. Item number 2 is an update on the status of any residential and/or business displacement and relocation assistance activities as a result of the Community Development Block Grant Project, if applicable. Number 3, review housing needs in the community. And number 4, public input and feedback from community residents on the Community Development Block Grant Project activities. This is a requirement by law. And now, give me a moment, Director. I need to share your screen, or this screen, with everybody who's online. And you are good to go.
Thank you, Mayor. So as the Mayor mentioned, this is the second public hearing. This is the final public hearing for the Community Development Block Grant Special Project Program, an award that was provided to the city in 2021 as part of the convent redevelopment. Next slide, please. First off, thanks to Chelsea Piffner for photos of the convent. These were taken in October 2022. I was part of that, but I didn't take any actual photos, so thank you to her. As the mayor outlined, these are the 4 components of the meeting. The public will have the opportunity, I can speak louder, but I don't know if you want me to.
I think there's some microphone or speaker issues on Trevor's end,
Sure.
because he mentioned that he thought our speaker was broke or not
Sure.
working last time, but it indeed was.
The main components I will go through relatively quick, but the 4th component is the most important. That's the actual public input, the public hearing component of this block grant funding. So next slide, please. To date, again, in October 21, City of Stevens Point was awarded $915,000 in Community Development Block Grant funds. This was a pass-through grant to General Capital, which is the developer for the convent. That was for the sole purpose of offsetting the cost to acquire the convent from the sisters. To date, $890,000 has been dispersed to the developer, and in fact, we just went through our first round of financial auditing as required by the grant as well, and so far we've gotten a clean response. The overall development plan includes 102 units. 85 will be affordable senior housing units, and then 17 units of affordable family housing. Construction began in April 2022 and continues through today. Next slide, please. So just real quick on the current timeline, the 1965 edition is near completion. They're actually going to begin accepting applications for occupancy this summer. The 1901 and 1915, the original and the first edition to the building, work continues there. Of course, when you're dealing with a 100-plus-year-old building, they continue to run into some of the challenges of renovating that type of space. So those are a little bit further delayed, but we should expect late summer, early fall occupancy. The townhomes, the foundation, and actually the first floor framing has begun in the north part of the property. The city has also installed the public utilities on Union Street north of Maria Drive. Concrete and asphalt work will begin being completed this spring. The park has been transferred to the city, that kind of the southeast corner of the facility that's been transferred to the city, and then work will begin with Create Portage County locating into some of the public spaces as part of the affordable housing component of this, you have to have a community service facility occupy a portion of the space. In this case, the Idea Center and Farm Shed will be the occupants of the former kitchen area and the mess hall, along with the former sanctuary. Next slide, please. Real quick, there has been no residential and or business displacement as part of this block grant funding, namely that the sisters were relocated before the property was transferred, so there is no relocation or displacement. Next slide, please. Reviewing the housing needs in the community. Next slide. You can see here that of housing affordability, owner-occupied, typically no more than 30% of household monthly income goes towards housing. In the city of Stevens Point, if you're an owner-occupied house, less than 20%, 48% of the total units that are owner-occupied pay less than 20% of their gross monthly income on their household expenses. Now, if you go to the next slide, which is our rental, it's a completely different story, where if you're a renter, you're more likely to pay more than 30% of your household income on housing costs. So that's something that Housing and Urban Development, through the programs of affordable housing, is trying to address. That's just a pie chart of what we've seen in the last several years. Next slide, please. These projections were based from the Wisconsin Department of Administration. Their projections are often considered to be more aggressive than what city staff would put as far as population projections. As an example, in 2020, they expected our population to be about 28,420. Obviously, we're almost 26,000 actually based on 1/1 data, but we'll get into that shortly. We do know that the 2020 census, we believe, was slightly reduced because of COVID and the university not being in session. It is important to remember that the university's population does count towards the city's overall population. Again, the DOA continues to work on projections, but those are likely 2 years out before the Applied Sciences Lab can get those to the municipalities. Next slide, please. This lovely chart here is actually put together by your city staff. This is a more conservative approach to what we believe our population projections will be in 2040. We suspect right around the 28 to 29,000 by 2040, and if you look at the previous one, it was significantly higher. But according to the Department of Administration, our 1/1/2022 population was 25,964 individuals. Next slide. If you take that and do some simple math, we will need to add an additional 846 residential units by 2040. The DOA views this simply as market rate housing. It does not include low income or commercial housing needs. And I always include the second half of this. We can't forget our existing housing stock when we talk about demand for housing. It's really important that as the city develops and as we continue to add housing within our community, that we ensure that we're also investing in our existing housing stock and not letting that to go and become blighted. This is the opportunity for the public to provide input. I went through that relatively quick. I was told 10 minutes. So I think I did okay on that.
It's 6.
Okay, 6, that's fair. But if there's any questions,
it's all very important.
Any questions I might be able to answer.
Sure. We will declare the public hearing open here shortly. Anyone wishing to offer testimony, please step to the lectern. Public hearing.
Now, it's tonight, now, right?
Now, yes, right now.
Oh, this is it.
Welcome.
Is there something you wanted to say? Anyone? Public hearing remains open. And for the third and final time, the public hearing is open. Seeing no one wishing to testify, we will declare the public hearing closed. If anyone does have questions regarding the project, it's been going on for quite some time, so the Director Karnowski can make himself available either tonight, now, or if you want to contact his office tomorrow, or anytime in the near future, you can certainly do that. Director, are we going to put this PowerPoint on the website?
We sure can.
We'll put that on the website. Give us a day or two to get that up. Next couple of days are going to be pretty busy. Thank you. Now, item number 8 on page 57 is an ordinance amendment, a request from the City of Stevens Point to amend Chapter 22 Historic Preservation and Design Review Ordinance of the revised municipal code for the city of Stevens Point. The said request amends section 22.05 for the purpose of adopting an ordinance preventing demolition by neglect. As many of you know, we've had more than a couple properties that have gone to the extent of neglect where they had to be torn down. The most recent 1700 Church Street, the convent from, I think it was St. Stephen's Church, and we want to hold those landlords responsible for that. So this ordinance is a revision that would allow the city to hold accountable the people who neglect their property to the point where it has to be demolished. Alder Kiemer?
I will make a motion to approve the revision to the code.
Seconded by Johnson. Discussion? Yes, go ahead.
I love this as a waste management professional, retired. I mean, over the years, we would get so many buildings coming in because they were neglected and there weren't ways to save them. It was always a sad thing to see buildings coming in that could have been saved that were just demolished. So from a waste management perspective and a community perspective, this is a great opportunity.
Thank you. Alder Shore, we're getting a lot of feedback from you. So if you're going to unmute, go ahead and speak, and we'll get you muted back up quick because it's pretty good feedback.
He's frozen.
I think it's Trevor.
Oh.
No, Trevor's muted. It's Alder Shore. Alder Shore, did you have anything you wanted to add? All right. Yeah, we're just getting a fair amount of feedback. All right. Any comments from the audience regarding this? Hearing none there. Clerk, please call the roll.
Christensen,
Aye.
Shore,
Aye.
Kiemer,
Aye.
Zarazua,
Aye.
Johnson.
Aye.
Plassance.
Aye.
Kneebone.
Aye.
Shuda.
Aye.
Dalton.
Aye.
Fischler.
Aye.
Morrow.
Aye.
And that is approved. Item number 10 is on page 60. No, 9. See? I'm trying to do all of these things, and it's like freaking me out a little bit today. With the feedback and the virtual stuff, we'll get it figured out eventually. Item number 9 on page 64, an ordinance amendment once again to approve amendments to Chapter 9, Sections 9.05 and 9.06 as they relate to parking and parking signage.
I'll move approval.
Thank you.
I second.
Seconded by Morrow. Discussion there. Comments from the audience? Hearing and seeing none. Clerk, please call the roll.
Morrow.
Aye.
Fischler.
Aye.
Dalton.
Aye.
Shuda.
Aye.
Kneebone.
Aye.
Plassance.
Aye.
Johnson.
Aye.
Zarazua.
Aye.
Kiemer.
Aye.
Shore.
Aye.
Christensen.
Aye.
And that is approved. So Alder Shore texted or said something in the chat. He is on day 10 of COVID, but he's willing to come over for the closed session. Alder Shore, it probably might be best if you just use the phone to dial in, and we can keep it that way. The video is freezing up a little bit, and it really looks quite amusing sometimes when it catches up, but it's completely up to you.
I'm talking through the phone.
Right, but the video is freezing up on you, which is, it's funny, but it's up to you, whatever you want to do.
I mean, if I don't miss a vote, I can come over now.
No, nobody's saying you don't get to vote. This is the same thing we've been doing for the past 2 years. It's just the technology is spotty, so it's up to you. I would rather not have an exposure, though. Item number 10 on page 66 is an ordinance amendment to approve the amendments in Chapter 16, Section 16.06, as it relates to snow removal on sidewalks. You probably remember this from last week. A section of Reserve Street that is smaller than anywhere else in the city. smaller than usual sidewalks, and this would allow 5 days to clear, and it sounds like we'll have our first test later this week.
Motion to approve.
Moved by Dalton.
Second.
I'm sorry, was that all Morrow? Seconded by Morrow. Discussion there. Comments from the audience? Hearing and seeing none, all those, I'm sorry, roll call, please.
Christensen.
Aye.
Shore.
Aye.
Keemer.
Aye.
Zerazua.
Aye.
Johnson.
Aye.
Plassance.
Aye.
Kneebone.
Aye.
Shuda.
Aye.
Dalton. Aye. Fischler.
Aye.
Morrow.
Aye.
And that is approved. Item number 11 is to award the Ridge Road Resurfacing Project 23-06 to Stachinski Trucking and Excavating for an amount not to exceed $810,235.85. Director Badoon is out on a bereavement. He is not able to be here tonight, but if anybody has questions, I'm sure we can get those answered. If not, a motion.
So moved.
Moved by Morrow, seconded by Dalton. Discussion.
We discussed this last week at length
We did.
about potholes.
Comments from the audience? Hearing and seeing none. All those in favor, did it again. Roll call, please.
Morrow.
Aye.
Fischler.
Aye.
Dalton. Aye. Shuda.
Aye.
Kneebone.
Aye.
Plassance.
Aye.
Johnson.
Aye.
Zerazua.
Aye.
Keemer.
Aye.
Shore.
Aye.
Christensen.
Aye.
And that is approved. Item number 12 is on page 68 of your packet, and that is a revocable occupancy license to approve the license for Century Insurance for a high-voltage line. This is specifically for the USGA Men's Senior Open that will be happening in late June, early July of this year at Century Road Golf Course. Tickets on sale now.
This is in my area. I wholeheartedly approve this. We talked about this last week as well. This is going to help because they're going to have news broadcasts from all over the world going to be here, and they need extra power and bandwidth and everything else. And so they're going to drill beneath the road and get the wiring and cables through there and so on.
Absolutely.
So
And seconded
everyone
by
can see
Fisher.
how great the whole city of Stevens Point is.
70,000 people are expected to attend over the 10 days of the event. So we've been preparing for this for well over a year already, and we're down here in the last couple of months. Pretty significant event. Any comments on that? Comments from the audience? Hearing and seeing none, clerk, please call the roll.
Christensen.
Aye.
Shore.
Aye.
Keemer.
Aye.
Zerazua.
Aye.
Johnson.
Aye.
Plassance.
Aye.
Kneebone.
Aye.
Shuda.
Aye.
Dalton. Aye. Fischler.
Aye.
Morrow.
Aye.
And that is approved. Item number 13 is a resolution on page 74 of your packet. That is a request from Will Sites, representing Sites Investment Properties LLC, for a conditional use permit to renovate an existing commercial building into a single-family residence on a property located at 741 2nd Street North, with the parcels identified in your packet, consistent with Chapter 23.02, Sub 1, Sub G, Sub 16, Sub F.
Motion to approve.
Moved by Dalton, seconded by Johnson. Discussion. Comments from the audience? Hearing and seeing none. Clerk, please call that roll.
Morrow.
Aye.
Fischler.
Aye.
Dalton. Aye. Shuda.
Aye.
Kneebone.
Aye.
Plassance.
Aye.
Johnson.
Aye.
Zerazua.
Aye.
Keemer.
Aye.
Shore.
Aye.
Christensen.
Aye.
And that is approved. Item number 14 is on page 75 of your packet, and that is a resolution, a request from Angela McEtheron. I'm probably going to get that wrong. Is that close? Representing Corta LLC, Stevens Point LLC, for a sign variance to install a sign on the wall of the property located at 5657 US Highway 10 East, with the parcel identified in your packet, consistent with Chapter 25.14. This is out at the old East Side properties.
Yep, the old cops. I'll move approval.
Moved by Kneebone,
Second.
seconded by Plassance. Discussion. Comments from the audience? Hearing and seeing none. Clerk, please call that roll.
Christensen.
Aye.
Shore.
Aye.
Keemer.
Aye.
Zerazua.
Aye.
Johnson.
Aye.
Plassance.
Aye.
Nebone.
Aye.
Shuda.
Aye.
Dalton.
Aye.
Fischler. Aye. Morrow.
Aye.
And that is approved. Item number 15 is on page 76, and that's a resolution. A request from the City of Stevens Point to authorize the City of Stevens Point staff to submit an application to apply for an AARP Community Flagship Grant in an amount not to exceed $50,000. Moved by Dalton.
Second.
Seconded by Mar. We'll give that to Christensen. Second by Christensen. Discussion. President Johnson.
Thank you. Should this not materialize, I want to remind everybody that the Aging and Disability Resource Center, which many of you know as the Lincoln Center, Cindy Petruski, the director, and her staff, they have federal money to help with dementia-friendly community training, with slip, fall, injury training, avoidance training, and all kinds of programs that can help our elders live productive, happy lives. So I just want to put a plug in for the ADRC and the staff there. They do simply amazing work.
Thank you. Yes, my family's had to use the services ourselves. So, any comments or questions regarding the actual grant application? Hearing and seeing none, clerk, please call that roll.
Morrow.
Aye.
Fischler.
Aye.
Dalton.
Aye.
Shuda.
Aye.
Nebone.
Aye.
Plassance.
Aye.
Johnson.
Aye.
Zarazua.
Aye.
Keemer.
Aye.
Shore.
Aye.
Christensen.
Aye.
And that is approved. Item number 16 is to adjourn into closed session pursuant to Wisconsin statutes 19.85 sub 1 sub E for deliberating or negotiating the purchase of public properties, investing public funds, etc., for two reasons. One is the acquisition of properties within the town of Hull, and two is acquisition of property within the city of Stevens Point. I need a motion and a vote to go into closed session.
Alton Tomorrow, so moved.
Seconded by Shuda. Discussion? Roll call, please.
Christensen.
Aye.
There we go.
Shore.
I believe he said aye as well.
Keemer.
Aye.
Zarazua.
Aye.
Johnson.
Aye.
Plassance.
Aye.
Nebone.
Aye.
Shuda.
Aye.
Dalton.
No.
Fischler.
Aye.
Morrow.
Aye.
And that is approved. We will go into closed session now. I'll ask everybody who is not on city staff to vacate, please.
A video of this meeting is available for viewing on the city's website, stevenspoint.com/videos.